February 22nd, 2017 Sustainability Board meeting.
Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can have this flickering light above us.
Yeah.
We can begin with public comment. If anyone has a comment for anything not on the agenda, now is a good time to talk. All right, let's move along. We've got Carol Robicek to speak about landscaping at the library.
Right. Thank you. Part of it, I've been a Can we move this down, or is this okay?
Either that or grow.
Pardon?
Either that or grow.
Thank you, John. I've been a resident here at Satellite Beach. I've been concerned with our environment for a very long time. Last spring, we got a new librarian at the library. She looked out at the landscape and said, my, oh, my. I looked at the landscape and I said, my, oh, my, too. And we started talking to people about how can we make a difference with that. And as you see on your sheet down here, the resources, those are some of the people we've talked to and said, hey, this is what we'd like to do. It's a fluid plan because it's going to depend. If we can't grow anything there, we can't grow anything. And that's what I've heard. I've heard no water, nothing grows there. But I don't quite believe that. So this is our plan. Our plan is to bring the community together to start this spring with planting a butterfly garden. We've already put in 3 little itty-bitty gaillardia plants, but if they grow, that's good. And we had rain today. And then we're going to look and see what survives in the summer, and then in the fall, go on back, replant, put in things. And I'm thinking that the more ideas we get, the better off I am. Hydroponics, I hadn't thought about that. I did think about the vertical garden, but this is even better. So what I'm asking of you is not money, but to keep with ideas. I would love to have someone who could give me a half an hour to videotape. I showed Nick a thing I saw where they were giving a $100,000 or $50,000 grant. Now, granted, I don't need that much money, but Florida Today was doing it, and all they wanted was a title for the project, and I already had a title, From Awareness to Action, a short video, and then a summary of what you want to do. And so if there was somebody who could videotape for that 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, I would have life made. And I heard, and I did not get the name, that somebody among you had that talent. So I'm just throwing that out there for whatever it's worth. That's basically what I wanted to say to you. I've asked the city if they will announce that we're doing a workshop with the Satellite Beach Women's Club and Jennifer Thompson on what makes a garden grow. And we're doing that on Tuesday, March 14th from 6:30 to 7:30.
Quick question, is this the same video? Nick, is this the same video you were just talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you've already been talked to. That's good. You must be the body.
I'm
So-
already on board. So.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done by the end of this
I
month.
already know.
They hired me to do a job with it.
What can I say? He said he would, and I walked it down and put it in his thing, but I hadn't heard, so that's great. But that's it. Do you have any questions, thoughts? I really need your input because it's going to be a lot of people giving a lot of ideas that will make this fly.
Where are you going to put it near the library? In the front section or?
If you notice, in our library, we have a Satellite Beach side and we've got an Indian Harbor Beach side. All of those walkways going in, we're going to work on. The only one that's kind of there is in the Satellite Beach side where it's the northwest corner. They have some plants growing there, a couple of palms. The rest of it is nothing but sand.
Right.
And a little bit of mulch, whatever that does.
There's a lot of space out there.
There is, we've got a lot of
those
room.
thorns. There's a lot of thorns out there for ground cover. This little popular tire. Maybe we could put peace lilies in between where Indian Harbor Beach and Satellite Beach. The reason why I say that, and for serious reasons, because I've always thought about having emergency vehicles be able to go through.
Wouldn't
the
that be
side.
nice?
And vehicles.
I was just talking about that today.
It's just
guess
because
to
I
reopen that
have kids
conversation.
that sometimes play baseball on the other side of, Dave Metz, and I have to go on South Patrick or A1A, and it's nice just to drive through there. Of course, we
Wouldn't
ride
that be
bike-
a first step towards getting there if we bring both communities together? I've talked to the
Yeah,
Indian
maybe
Harbor
that would
Garden Club, going next week to Ocean Breeze. If we can get a community together,
Yeah,
I
maybe
see
it's
it.
right. Peace lilies.
so,
My question is, do you have rain gutters and downspouts?
now you're asking about things I know nothing about, but we have 6 of those things that come down and then spill into the
What is this for?
concrete, the library.
Okay.
And so
I can help you out with rain barrels.
I love you. Guess what? Surfside said that they would paint one. My problem is, and it's just me, I want to have a theme running through the garden. And so, while you're thinking rain barrels, would you also help me think of a theme and then the signage, how we can tie it all together? Because I want it to be beautiful. You can help me, David. I better go write all this down because otherwise I won't remember it. Okay, any other questions?
You're talking theme, talk about the lagoon.
Talking
That's why
about,
you're doing this.
wait, I don't follow you, John.
I like that.
That's why we're doing the landscaping changes and stuff. It's the lagoon.
Lagoon would be an awesome. A river runs through it. We could take names of all of those books about rivers and stick them on the signage. Might be a really good thing.
You started this off saying there is no irrigation basically on any of the...
Well, that's what they had told me. The first time I kept bringing it up, people would look at me and they'd say, it's not going to work. I heard that all of December. But there is one faucet out there with the rain barrels. We'll have other irrigation. And I am the person that has said, regardless, I will, for the next 2 years, make sure it goes.
I believe there is a well and pump. I know there's a seepage. There is,
I don't think they have anything out there.
well, there's one place that when I was feeding cats was always wet.
So my only
Always.
motivation of asking that question was,
The old well then.
we just recently planted a bunch of plants at our house that gets no irrigation at
Uh-huh.
all. And Sun Harbor was real helpful in helping us identify some plants that will thrive with just sunlight, rainwater, shade, whatever. And it might be worthwhile of reaching out to a nursery or something to get a punch list.
Jennifer has talked about that. Native Plant Society is there.
Yeah, good.
I live in a yard that I don't water and I haven't fertilized for 20 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there might be 1 or 2 plants that are still growing. And the city, thank goodness, has not come to yell at me.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
That's kind of nice. Okay, anything else? I hope you'll consider, and if you've got time, on that Tuesday night, come and hear what we're
Tuesday,
thinking.
March 13th at what time?
I've got to read it, because I don't trust myself.
Is it on there?
It's
I have it on my
14th,
calendar.
it's Tuesday. It's going to be right after the library board meeting.
At the library.
Tuesday at what time?
Library, how about that?
6:30.
She said she couldn't read it. I don't see it on here.
It says 6:30 under step 1.
Yeah, March 13th, Tuesday. 6:30.
March 14th.
14th.
It's a Tuesday.
I think that's
If I don't get this
No, it's
right.
14th. March 14th is a Tuesday.
okay. I'll be.
At what time, 6:30?
6:30.
Obviously, I'm excited about it. I hope you'll be excited too.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
You've had a lot of great ideas, but this one I think is awesome.
Yeah.
You come up with a lot of
Yeah, I
great
think you
ideas,
could-
but this one's really good.
You could probably get away with no water at all with you know, that type of landscaping, but there's definitely needing some soil amendments over there, because
Might
there,
be a
it's
good
sand.
idea. And
It
I
is
just heard the
sand.
SIP is doing some built-up things. Wouldn't it be cool, as people come in, we've got the master gardeners there, they can say, nothing grows here, and we can just literally take them out and show them.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Any public comment on that? All righty, Eric Paulson was going to speak to us about some home aquaponics setup.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Paulson. I'm here to just share some ideas and my experience and maybe get some inspiration going in the community, a little something different on some of my aquaponics experience. It's been only a few months I've been doing this, so Dave Floyd asked me if I would come and share what I've done and learned. Can you go? Yeah, always the down button, right? Yeah, with the down button. Before. Or we just go over the RPs? Yeah, sure. All right, so what is aquaponics? It's the mutually beneficial integration or combination of hydroponics and aquaculture. Hydroponics being soilless gardening and aquaculture being fish farming, basically. The fish or whatever aquatic animal you have, it could be crayfish or something, their waste is converted by bacteria into nutrients, and the plants absorb those nutrients, cleaning the water back to good quality water, living water for the fish. It's a very sustainable way of gardening as well. Let's see if I can get this to work again. Did you do that? I did that. Okay. It's great for urban and suburban areas where you might be limited by space or land or any kind of environmental contamination. From my experience, it's been very easy. I think anybody could do it. I've been talking about doing this for 2 years, and I finally bit the bullet and did it, and it was surprisingly much easier than I thought it would be. It's the greenest and healthiest gardening I've ever done. You know, if you have your own garden, you know where your food's coming from, what it's not being sprayed with, potentially. You know, is it really organic? And, you know, over decades, we've had more and more centralized agriculture. And, you know, it's a good way to get community involved and your friends, neighbors. You can each grow different types of things, maybe do some trading. It's great to teach your kids. Let's see, benefits. There have been studies that with aquaponics, you can have plants grow 2 to 3 times faster and use about 1/10 of the water in normal gardening or agriculture. Other benefits, it's very easy to adjust your water chemistry and nutrients. Fresh nutrients are provided to the plant, the roots, directly and constantly. Since there's no soil, so far for me at least, it's been less bugs, less soil-borne diseases. Your grow beds can be, if you're doing grow beds, can be raised higher off the ground, away from soil and bugs. Very high density of, you can plant your plants real close in a dense grow bed. Let's see, if we're talking big agriculture, you know, there's no runoff or pollutants, less plumbing, you don't have to run drip irrigation or anything all over the place, and there's no weeds since there's no soil, no dirt. All right.
You missed one.
I missed one?
Fish.
Oh, well, yeah. You get fish to eat.
You get protein.
Yes.
Too.
Very good, Dave. Thanks. Let's see. Water usage in aquaponics. The only water you really use is what's retained by the plants in crop growth, transpiration, what the plants release through their leaves, and evaporation from your fish tank. Traditional agriculture, you have runoff, you have percolation into the subsoil where you lose your water, and any weeds that are growing could, use up water there. Next slide, please. Let's see. In aquaponics, typically what you need is fish tanks, grow beds, grow media if you're not doing just floating rafts, a pump to move your water around to your grow beds, basic plumbing, PVC, fish, something to feed your fish, and especially when you're first starting out, a water test kit. Next slide, please. So now, hopefully I'm not boring everybody, we get some pictures. This is a picture, November 11th, I moved my tomatoes, 3 tomatoes that I have highlighted there, from my starter cups into my aquaponics garden.
Wow.
And then, so that's my grow media. It's clay pellets. We call it hydroton, but it's expanded clay pellets. So next slide. This is like 3 months later. Those are my tomato plants and a bunch of other stuff. But the tomato plants, everything's taken off, but my tomato plants are almost overtaking everything. We've got Swiss chard there, kale, mint, zucchini. I've got lettuce, not in this picture. I think I've taken out my lettuce by then. Bell peppers. I might be missing something.
Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, green beans. So that's about 3 months from when I planted those little tiny seedlings. I've got tons of tomatoes. Finally, my first tomatoes are starting to go from green to red and are ripening. Next slide. Try and fly through this. This is the picture. So this is 1 month before, basically 1 month before that picture that I just showed. And those tomato plants in the back there are probably less than half the size. Big giant chard leaves hanging out there and lettuce. Next slide. And this is just a shot down into the fish tank. I bought basically fingerling, fried tilapia. Tilapia because I figure I'm starting out there, can live in anything almost. So I don't have to worry about. I haven't had any fish die, so it's been good so far. Got about 26 fish in there, about 160-ish gallons of water.
Have you eaten the fish yet?
Nope, not yet. Not big enough.
Oh, okay.
But they've grown a lot.
That mint's huge.
Yeah, it's growing fast.
It is.
We don't
So
take enough mojitos.
Twice the size of the mint in my yard.
Next slide, please. All right, so what I use, what a lot of people use, especially small at-home stuff, is IBC totes, intermediate bulk containers. They're commercial shipping containers for liquids. You want to find food-grade ones. Mine had food sweetener in it. And some of them will have cooking oil, aloe, all kinds of stuff. That's what it looks like. It's 275 gallons. I think they have a 320-something gallon one as well. Harder to find. And basically they just have that little metal cage. This is me where I started cutting it apart. I cut off the top about maybe 12 inches off the top, flipped it upside down for my grow bed. That you can see in the smaller piece, the grow bed, there's that little red cap. That's where I built my drain into it. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see. Typical maintenance is feeding your fish once or twice a day. Once your system's established, you only really need to check your pH every 1 or 2 weeks. So that's pretty quick and easy. Little water drop test kit. You want to keep your pH between 6 and 7. The conversion that I talked about, the fish waste, ammonia, and the bacteria, naturally occurring bacteria that's everywhere, when they convert that to nitrogen, it produces some acid. So that'll drop your pH. So you got to keep an eye on that every once in a while. If pH starts getting too low, you can use just like crushed up eggshells. I put them in like a pantyhose or something and put them in right in my grow bed where the water dumps into the grow bed. Hydrated lime is a powder that they use for gardening, for adjusting pH. I picked up mine at Sun Harbor Nursery. Most of my time lately especially has been just adjusting my supports and trellis lines for my tomato plants. I don't have a big area to work in. I'm up against the fence, so it's hard to get to everything. And again, evaporation, you need to add some water to your fish tank probably every week. I let some 5-gallon buckets of city water just sit. I don't have my rain barrels hooked up anymore. I need to get my gutters fixed. Let's see, I got some cost things in here. I don't know if this is anything we need to cover here, but if anybody was interested, kind of a cost breakdown, I probably have maybe close to $300 put into it. We can skip this. Couple shots, very minimal plumbing setup, my PVC. I pulled this out from underneath my grow bed to take a picture so you could kind of see it a little better. I have a pond pump that just pumps up water. You can kind of see the very end of the black pond hose out on the adapter that comes up to that PVC plumbing there. I have it tee off right away. The one pipe that's pointing to the left just shoots water right back into the fish tank to aerate it. And then the other piece that's going up, kind of hooked into the grow bed up there, hooks over the edge of the grow bed and just fills up the grow bed. The pump's constantly running, and I have a siphon system set up with a standpipe where once the water fills up in the grow bed, a siphon, there's no moving parts, kicks in and drains the grow bed all the way down, and then it starts all over again. Let's see, there's a few different types of grow beds you can have. Media-filled grow bed, which is what I have. I guess it's supposed to be the simplest. It's been easy for me. Constant height, where did I put that? I can't, you could either have your water level always filled and at a constant height, or like I was just mentioning mine, I have what's known as a flood and drain, where it fills up, siphon kicks in, and it drains it, and it does that process over and over. Let's see, with the flood and drain system, when it drains, it's pulling in fresh air and oxygen down to the roots of the plants. I'm not sure if that helps them growing faster or not. Then there's nutrient film technique, which is a fancy name for what you see in most hydroponic systems, where water's pumped to like gutters or pipes that have the plants growing in them. Deep water culture is where your grow bed is just water and you have like a foam raft with cups in it. A lot of times where you see people who are just growing like lettuce or something.
But it doesn't always sit in the water, though, does it, on those type of systems?
I'm pretty sure they do. The foam rafts have holes cut in them with like grow cups, and I think there might be just holes in the grow cups, and then the roots just grow out of that into the water.
I've seen some where they spray up from underneath.
Oh, yeah. There are some systems like that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Goes up the pipe and then it just drains in. Pipe and that's the same.
Let's see, what kind of stuff have I added to my garden? Dave, you asked me this question, and I've had to do more stuff since then. So, you know, your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are your main nutrients. Typically, aquaponics, from my experience and what I've read, your nitrogen, I have plenty of nitrogen, tons of nitrogen from my fish. Phosphorus, typically you have plenty of phosphorus. I have added potassium just in the form of liquid seaweed. What I've read, and 9 times out of 10, if you're low on nutrients, it will usually be potassium. Magnesium is, I think you've probably heard people use Epsom salts for their gardens. That's where you get your magnesium, easiest way, cheapest way. I've added Epsom salts once. Hydrated lime I've mentioned, it's a powder to bring up pH. That's the only time I ever use it. And whenever you're adjusting these types of things, you want to just adjust real small and see how your plants and your fish react. Oh, last page. Good. Okay. if anybody's interested in more, I put together a whole bunch of websites and links that help me learn what to do. So, Dave's told me about the community garden. I don't know if there's any interest in this for that, but I was just hoping to come here and share some ideas if anybody in the community was interested in doing it at their own house. So.
I'm definitely interested. What do you feed the fish?
Right now, I'm just feeding fish pellets, but once I am going to expand my garden, I'll have another sump tank that all my grow beds will drain into, and I'm going to have duckweed in there, which is a natural plant that's kind of invasive actually, but I think I've been told it can triple its surface area in a day, and fish, the tilapia eat that a lot, and it's got a lot of protein in it, so that's my plan besides fish pellets, which is all I'm doing right now.
So how long until you can harvest the fish?
I don't know yet. I was hoping spring, but it'll probably be longer than that. My biggest fish probably tripled in size at least, or length. Weight, they're probably, I'm hoping I'll have 2-pound fish maybe by end of summer. I don't know how big it'll grow in that tank yet.
So they also,
Yes, exactly.
the fish reproduce on their own.
Yeah.
You tell me about that, and you have to.
And tilapia will eat their babies, so
Yeah. So
you have to separate those, either in another tank or like a screened off portion of your tank. So I like to go out and catch my fish, but I leave tilapia as I say they're my byproduct from my garden.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Fish fry and.
Yeah, they don't have the
veggies.
mercury.
Yeah.
So your only nitrogen source is coming from the waste from the tilapia? That's it?
Yeah, and it's off the charts. Really high in nitrogen. And when I do, I don't have anything to kind of remove a lot of solid waste now, so I have a little hand pump that I pump that out with, and I put it in a 5-gallon bucket, and I bring it around to mostly my pineapples, which are all of a sudden flowering and producing pineapples. So it's been a fun experiment. My family, my girls are here, my wife, and they love to participate.
Feed the fish.
So I think you're the first one in Satellite Beach.
When
As far as I know, or do you know of anybody else that has them?
When I got my grow media, those clay pellets, I got them from a guy up in Cocoa Beach, and he told me, I think he said his daughter lives in Satellite Beach and has aquaponics, so, but I don't remember their last name.
There's no nutrient content to the pellets at all? The clay pellets?
Well, for the fish, there's,
No,
protein and...
The clay pellets that you're putting...
Oh,
in
the
plants?
clay pellets.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing, those are
It's
inert,
just
there's nothing.
inert...
Yeah, right. Yeah, starting out, starting out was tricky because there's not any bacteria there yet, so your ammonia can go really high, which is poison for the fish. So you kind of have to balance, try not to have too many fish in there, producing too much waste until your bacteria they colonize your grow media, and that's what starts converting everything and making all the water safe again, producing your plant food. But yeah, there's no nutrients in those plants.
We should do it at the garden.
Yeah, so if we wanted to do this at the community garden, instead of having tanks for the fish, could you not just create a pond?
Yeah, you could. A neighbor of ours, actually, they have a setup. Just built got cinder blocks and a pond liner and capped it off to hold the liner in there. So you could do that. You could put a pond in the ground.
Already making designs right here, right now.
You could do all kinds of things. You could daisy chain those IBC totes together and separate your different size fish. You could do all kinds of things.
And you still, from what I understand, you still only need one pump.
Yes,
matter
if
how
you
big you
plan
make it.
right and gravity feed everything,
'Cause everything
and
is
have a
gravity
sump
feed
pump,
down.
you can just have one pump in your sump tank and pump it back up to your highest tank.
So that each tank has to be progressive.
Everything will gravity feed the water.
So how much was the total amount that it took to make it again?
Around 300 probably. And I got a good deal on the grow media, so that probably balanced off. I paid 120 for the IBC tote, which, I don't know, maybe we have some contacts in the community for those IBC totes.
Well, you can also use rain barrels, or barrels.
Yeah, you
55-gallon
can.
drums, you cut them.
They're not flat bottom for grow bed and draining, but they would probably work fine. There's plenty of people, there's tons of people with all different kinds of setups out there.
And those are cheap.
Yeah.
Very willing to see it look like a pond.
No, I'm talking about for the grow bed.
Grow beds, yeah, I don't know if they'd be big enough for.
I've seen people do
Yeah,
it.
maybe. If you don't put too many fish in them.
Yeah. It'd be better if it was squared off and rounded on the bottom.
For the fish tank?
For the
I think you
grow
want something, for the grow bed, it'd probably be fine, you just need a lot more of them.
Yeah. Well, they're cheap, $5.
Right,
for
yeah, right. You
a
might
barrel, you know.
only be able to get 1 or 2 rows of plants planted in, but that's probably fine, because, like, they grow like crazy.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, there's a million different designs on how people are doing this, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And,
Well, if you're making raised beds, just don't put soil in one of them, line it and put in your growing medium
Yeah,
and
you
pump
can
it in and out.
build a frame out of wood
Well, you
with
get-
a pond liner.
it always has to be higher than your tank, or your fish tank.
Well, if you're gravity feeding, you actually want your overflow for your fish tank highest so that it can gravity feed out of there down to all your grow beds.
Yeah, you're going to pump, but you could pump either way.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've been wanting to do it for so long.
If anybody wants to try it, it's way easier than I've ever thought.
It's really cool.
Where is yours?
I want to do it at my house.
On the side of my house.
And is it cool for us to come check it out, or
Yeah.
where do you live?
Right over by the library, Trinidad.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
You said these fish will get up to about 2 pounds each.
I mean, they can grow a lot bigger. I just
Flatwood
don't
is
know
pretty big. We'll
how
Give them
big.
space, because
How many are in there?
I
26
got
inches.
a little over 2 dozen fish.
Really? I want to have little.
About 100 and, if I have my tank full where I don't need to add water, 170 gallons probably.
A lot of fish.
But I think
26 fish.
hopefully I'll get 2+ pound fish out of there by the time I'm ready to take any out.
That's good. Go to Costa Rica, man.
Anything else?
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job.
Do I need, any public comment on aquaponics?
No.
All right, I guess you guys are up, Zach. FIT to present draft a sustainability plan. Oh, I'm sorry, I screwed, Zach, I screwed that up, I apologize. I'm illiterate, not your fault. John Wellhauser to speak about edible landscapes is up next, forgive me.
I don't think he's here.
I don't see anybody here.
John's not here, so.
All right,
Maybe
I
move
guess,
on.
I guess I was right, Zach, okay, let's move on to Zach. FIT to present draft on sustainability plan.
Hi, everybody. Zach Eichels. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go over the city sustainability plan that we've been working on now for about a year. Nick, if you want to go ahead and skip through. So this presentation is going to outline the sustainability plan itself and go through its specific sections and go over the major priorities and the green achievement targets, the thing I guess this is all leading to. And then it will quickly go over the community garden at Florida Tech, which I guess is now a pseudo sister garden to the future community garden in Satellite Beach. So this is what the table of contents looks like right now. These are the specific sections that are in the plan. Right now the plan is about 80 pages, Courtney, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a pretty, compared to other city plans, it's a pretty beefy plan. It's got some weight to it, which is good. The first section is a letter to the residents. The second one is a message from the mayor. And then the ones listed in bold are the ones that we'll go over in more detail in this presentation. The executive summary, of course, at the beginning, the growing importance of cities taking action, satellite beach opportunities, sustainability action plan categories, moving forward from where we go after this plan. And then, of course, the acknowledgments, the literature cited, and there are 5 appendices, which I can go over if you want. So we start with the executive summary. It basically defines what the action plan itself is and the assessment report that it stemmed from, that was written before this, that identified the specific indicators of which the city wants to work with to improve itself sustainability-wise. And then it goes over the goals of the plan for Satellite Beach and its residents, the encompasses procedures used in the plan and the assessment development, and it outlines and categorizes the green achievement targets, which I'll go over at the end of the plan. The growing importance of cities taking action. This section is designed to show that cities right now is where all the action is in terms of sustainability endeavors. It kind of always seems to have been, because cities are at the forefront of environmental challenges like satellite beaches, being on a barrier island and whatnot. So it goes over specific examples of other cities, both of satellite beaches size and much larger metropolitan areas that endeavor in sustainability. And I tried to make it so that it spanned red states, blue states, across the country, everywhere, because things are really happening everywhere. And then there are specific comparisons to Satellite Beach, to other similar municipalities. For example, there's an example in Utah. And it also relates to counties in Florida that are doing sustainability endeavors and have also sustainability plans. The Satellite Beach Opportunities section reviews exactly what it sounds like, opportunities based in social, economic, and environmental areas, which are the 3 capitals of sustainability. It heavily reviews solar opportunities, since the city is so interested in that, including PACE. Dr. Fergus was nice enough to write a section that shows really well how cheap solar is now. And then it discusses heavily the IRL, which we all know is a very big local thing. And it includes brief things about insurance, about how going green can help insurance and can help with healthcare costs. So the Sustainability Action Plan category section is the largest section in the report, and it should be because it goes over the specifics of what the city is going to want to do eventually. It stems from 5 categories that were identified in the assessment report, which was, as I said, written before the plan. Those 5 categories are the built environment of the city, land and water systems, energy and transportation, community outreach, and quality of life. From these 5 categories, there were subcategories identified and indicators. And the indicators are what are the specific things the city said, this is what needs to be done to make a difference. And these indicators were listed as high priority near term, and some were not. And the high priority near term ones were the ones that the city said, these are the ones that we need attention with right now. And each of those built environment, land and water system, all those categories have their own specific section within this overall section that lists the stressors to that specific category and the recommendations for those specific categories. And those recommendations are really stemmed towards the residents and businesses of Satellite Beach, but they're only recommendations. No one is telling them to do something. So it's whether they want to do it or not. And it lists kind of why maybe they should, the economic benefits and stuff like that. And the stressors, as I said before, is important because it shows with reasonable data why this is a specific problem to this specific category. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So the moving forward section is the last section in the plan before the whole literature site and all that stuff starts. This is probably this section details the GATs. The GATs are the Green Achievement Targets, and these Green Achievement Targets, there are 20 of them, were identified with city staff and FIT staff as the things the municipality itself will be moving forward with after this plan in 5-year increments. These 20 Green Achievement Targets came from specific indicators in the categories. And they deal with everything from, actually, Nick, if you go forward one more. Go back one more. Okay, yeah, right here. you can see at the bottom there, the bullets of the 5 categories. There are 6 GATs within the built environment, 6 within land and water systems, 4 in energy and transportation, 3 in community outreach, and 1 in quality of life. And the moving forward section also, I think I should say, really hammers home the fact that the city wants to lead by example as a small municipality wanting to have not only a meaty sustainability plan, but will actually do something with this plan. Because for some cities, it just sits there and it's a thing to look at. But yours won't be. And Nick, if you want to go forward. These are the actual green achievement targets. As I said, there are 20. I don't think we have time to go through all of them specifically, but like I said, they all stem back to a specific indicator within the 5 categories. And these are 20 things that the city government itself will be wanting to do, whether it's research or an actual implementation of something such as solar panels on the city hall. Just as an example, one of them, achieve LEED certification for at least 1 municipal building. And all of these, as I said before, are within 5 years. And then they would be amended after those 5 years have passed, and either they would be kept if they haven't been achieved, or they would be changed to something else that needs to be done within that was previously identified in the plan. These are more of them. Another, just an example, allow for better citizen access to public transportation, ensure that XX miles of city streets are designated to follow the principles of complete streets. Other one is like developing a citywide compost project, stuff like that. If you have any questions about them, I'd be happy to try and answer them. And then, yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the Florida Tech Ethos Community Garden. We had the grand opening last Friday. Yeah, okay, those plants are a little bit of a cheat. Those were for the grand opening. But they're actually going to stay. They're still in their pots. They belong to our school's nursery. They're good practice for us to see if we don't kill anything. So, but so far we haven't. Yes, they are. Those will be removed at the end of the semester.
Some might say our plant specialist is trying to cycle out some of her product because she does have some space, but a lot of her plants are a little bit older because she takes good care of them. So some of them might stay, but a lot of them are going to be moved.
If she wants to recycle them over to the library, that would be good.
Right, yeah, she would be down, definitely.
So we had about 100 people in attendance. We have so far 9 sponsors, which equates to worth over $1,000. We priced the sponsorship of a bed at $120 for a year, with a nameplate that you get attached to a bed that's made of wood. That's in great, like with a burned emblem into it. It's very nice. The build cost was just under $7,000, as we've been over, and that left some room for some extra money that we can continue to have a budget with, and the sponsorship has helped increase that budget, so we are now become financially sustainable and have started to pay it back. We aim to start a local movement with this garden, which I think we kind of already have with Satellite Beach, and we like to do it with other projects, such as, I guess, now the library. It's 500 square feet, roughly, of growing space within 22 beds with 34 distinct plots inside of them. 21 beds, sorry. Was it 22 or 21?
It's 21.
21? Yeah,
Because
okay.
we have all even numbers of stuff and one 2 by 8.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, and Nick, if you want to go to the next one, we just put some pictures on here for you guys to see. That's some of our committee members with our school's president, Dr. McKay, cutting the ribbon. There's Pete. And then that's the dedication banner, which will one day be a plaque when we get the money for it. There's us. There's our students planting I believe those are strawberries. And I actually included, there's our first strawberries, which have already started to come out. So, any questions about the plan? Dr. Lindeman also wanted me to make it clear that he thinks a good date for the plan to be returned, if you guys had any edits, would be February 26th, which is next Monday or Sunday? Monday. Yeah. So, any questions?
We would just need comments.
Comments?
Yeah. Turn into us.
What's the best way for us to
Email that to us.
email? So can we?
Or you can just give us just turn that back into us, if you want to write on it, and we'll give it back to you.
I mean, that's Most people don't want to get it like this because it's a lot.
That's fine. No, actually, it's fine with us.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually sometimes easier
Okay.
that way. So if you have those, just turn them right into the city staff. Because we also have a consultant that's formatting this right now into a, just make it
Cool
prettier
looking.
and prettier.
Makes sense.
So we'll just add those comments into her work. And then it'll be going to city council.
April, after public comment? Don't remember. It was in April, my contract ends in April, and that's when we
Right.
figured it was going to be done.
I think we were going to go to council first and then have a public workshop
Okay.
on presenting it, so.
Okay.
It'll be either the 15th or I think it's the 15th,
Okay,
yeah.
So this plan is just a draft,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
and it's going to be modified how?
We're taking edits right now, so,
Taking minutes.
yeah. Edits, or if you have, I don't understand this recommendation, could you expand on it, things like that. Yeah.
Deadline for that?
The
February
26th.
26th.
Yes.
February 26th, thank you.
Sure.
So the format you sent out via email was a PDF, right? A bunch of PDFs.
Did you send it? Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, I don't know why it did that.
What are you guys using to create it?
It's in Word,
No,
and you would go crazy
It's in there,
trying
Dropbox.
to edit it. Because it's in Word, so every picture moves every time you move it,
yeah.
Not only that, it's a huge file because of the graphics.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
If you don't mind. I love this figure here, 35, the
Oh, the circle of sustainability?
sort of sustainability. Now, this isn't based on our actual data. It's
No.
a demo.
No.
My question was, how far are we from being able to actually create that for our own specific city? Because you still have to measure it.
Yeah.
What page is that on?
30.
It's near the end.
Bottom
So,
61.
the Circle of Sustainability was put in there because that is a company that does that. They have their own website, and there are many major metropolitan cities that have done that. That one is a generic one, and it says that, just in case. But I think the city right now could maybe do one because of the assessment report. The assessment report has outlined pretty much everything that the city needs to look at. There are probably some more metrics that might want to be added, just for more data collection, but that could probably be done by the end of this first amendment period for the GATS. Yeah. I don't know honestly how much it would cost to do something like that, and what they exactly require that company to do that, but I guess,
I guess the issue is you have to scale each of these.
yeah.
to
And
some
the
metric that makes sense.
visual stuff, I think, works really well for people, and that puts into good perspective how well a city's doing, because I've seen ones for cities that are just awful. Mostly I saw one for, I don't remember the city, but it was in India, and almost everything was yellow and red. And then there are others like Melbourne, Australia, that has one that is basically a giant green flower. So,
See where we should be focusing.
yeah.
Priority.
In the plan right there, it says actually this is something the city could strive to have one day, a circle like this. It also says in the plan too, a lot, this is a living document that is meant to be amended. It'll almost never be finished in a way, because the city will always be working towards bettering itself.
Really, that would be what you could produce after you put some numbers against the
Right.
the different criteria.
Yeah, and that's, like, in traditional planning, the world of planning, I can't tell you as a consultant how many plans I did that I knew the city wasn't going to do anything with. And when you do that as a planner, it just breaks your heart because you put all this work into it. But the reason why they don't do anything with it is because it's so hard to wrap their mind around it. And when we do the assessment, we did the assessment first, and usually that's done in the opposite way. And we did the assessment first so we can wrap our heads around what we're measuring and how we're going to go about that actual work product. Because then you're focusing on the end result instead of a goal, only a goal. You're focusing on how you're going to get it done. And so this is definitely, it's created as more of an action plan where we have like a 5-year, action list that we have to accomplish. And, in 5 years, it'll actually be 4, we'll start the update for the next 5-year period. And so we're always going to be on that track of constantly doing projects, constantly getting things done.
I love it. I love all the metrics too, the energy use, the water use,
Mhm.
will be reduced to dollars and cents, which is how we have to do it, right?
Yeah. The plan speaks, I myself am learning how to speak the way the plan probably should sound, so it's been a little bit of a struggle, but the plan kind of speaks now almost as if it's a green business plan to the residents,
It's a really good
showcasing,
way to put it.
showing what the city wants to do, but also they want to do it because it just economically makes sense. Like renewable energy now, no matter what happens in politics, will be the future because it's simply the way the market's moving.
Exactly right.
And you want to always stay with the market, so.
So we will be putting this in front of City Council, hopefully asking them for their approval. And then we'll be scheduling kind of like a presentation to the community on the actual plan. Normally, we would take in public participation in that before we do the plan. But because we have had so many community meetings and climate change projects, we felt that we pretty much had a good grasp on what the community wanted. So we really, that meeting will really be more like, this is what we're doing, and here's your, if you have any input on how we're going to accomplish it, then, bring that, yeah. Mhm. Right.
Now, I've got a question for staff. There's a list of things to do in the next 5 years or so. Is that going to feed into the CIP?
Yes.
So there'll be a linkage between this and the CIP, so people can say, that's what it's going to cost to do that, that, and that.
Yep.
And presumably, or at least it would be good, like on PV, to say, here's what it's going to cost, but oh, by the way, here's the return.
And that's one of Nick's projects, is putting together a solar plan for the city on a CIP type schedule. When we look at each city's roof, the time frame for replacement, how much it would cost to put the solar panels on to take care of that energy need for that particular building, and what would be the payback period, that type of information. And then we will, once we have that, we can work that into the city's CIP, basically, as part of the roof replacements. And so we're planning on, the City Hall, we're looking at budgeting for next year, but that doesn't need a roof replacement, so we didn't have to deal with that issue here.
I think it's a great plan. I looked it over and put a lot of comments in it. One thing that I wanted to ask, has the city ever done a full energy audit on all the buildings? I thought the Florida Solar Energy Center was...
We did in 2011, 13, what was it?
Oh, is that the one that you read?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, Solar Energy Center came in, they did a energy audit, but they also did a PV assessment. And so we've got all that stuff that's been sitting there just waiting to bear fruit.
Yeah, because normally it's more cost effective to do energy improvement measures than it is to do solar. Or you want to do that first.
Well, you want to do it first, right?
Yeah, you want to look at that first, because you want to make your buildings efficient anyway. Then that can mean a smaller solar
Absolutely.
system.
I mean, there's some buildings that we have that we're replacing completely. I mean, it's being torn down. Public Works will be a total replacement. I can't imagine us saving any part of that building. So, when we're looking at all the other city buildings, those are some of the issues. But here, City Hall is pretty, insulated, but the, Civic Center we're getting ready to do. So stuff like that. So we're
But the DRS thing is the big user, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big expense to put, any improvements in, just because of the sheer size of it.
Well, maybe not, because sometimes this is a while ago, but I used to go in there for basketball, for PAL basketball with my kids, and I noticed that it was really cold in there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if, that might just be simple, just controlling a thermostat during certain times, or, which could save us a whole lot of money.
Yeah, well, the AC part of that building is a story in itself. So is the roof. because it was converted a long time ago from a large grocery store. So it's all on one system, and we've split it up among different users, and we're going to have to someday come to terms with that and put separate systems on each of the sections of the building. But right now, it's all one, and that's become a challenge.
But the benefit and the reason it was done is it only runs off-peak rates. In other words, it's a chiller system that runs when FPL's rate is low.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
you'll
the
go
reason it
in
was
and
built that way.
have a freezing gym, but the community room in the evening will be difficult to sit through because it's so hot, yeah. So it's been difficult.
What about zoning? Has anybody looked into zoning the ducts with, 'cause you can control separate zones?
We have to, that's what I'm talking about, we'll have to, and it's coming to that point where we'll have to replace the whole system. And the roof is the same way, we have that in the CIP, the roof alone for that building is $200,000, so.
Right now, it's a recommendation that that building gets solar panels by 2025, not a green achievement target.
And the longer you wait, solar's going to get cheaper and cheaper, I think, so.
It's just, there's so many other things we have to do to that building first before it's probably our last building that we'll be looking at from the solar perspective.
As much as everybody wants to put solar on and make it, set an example, it may be prudent just to, work these environmental or the energy saving measures first, and then be ready when solar gets really cheap.
That's exactly what we were all discussing through this whole plan when we talk about the buildings, is exactly that.
Depends on the return. In other words, even with the inefficiencies, if you can pay for the system in, less than 10 years, you get down the road, you just don't build it to max out. You try to figure what the eventual load will be and scale it to that, and then bring the building down to the load that's available.
Well, there's paybacks for everything, you just have to prioritize it based on,
The Nick's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Thank you. I can help you, Nick, I've got experience with.
No, I say thank you because everybody has been very helpful. And yes, we will continue to more, especially about that issue.
And speaking of solar, I just want to, I actually did a calculation on my solar system, and since 2014, I've saved $6,400 for my house. So I'm about halfway there to paying it off. I think it was like $13,000 out-of-pocket cost.
The plan does have, I guess, a personal touch in it. It has pictures of David Bigaldi's house. Two pictures in it that show a legitimate Satellite Beach resident that has solar panels on his home. So I thought that'd be important
We
to put in.
actually have a lot of residents that have solar panels.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat, yeah. But we also are looking at doing a solar workshop. And Dr. Lindemann actually came up with a term, because we have so many of these community meetings for the summer planned out, one for the climate change project, one for the sustainability plan, and one for the solar workshop. And he was, what did he call it, innovations?
It's like spring innovation.
Spring innovation, yeah.
Something like
I thought it was a good
that.
term.
Well, they talk about a brown bag lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's saying it's like a
Right.
green bag lunch.
Really good. It was a good idea. I told him he should have been in marketing in a former life, but he, when he brought that up, we were talking about doing our solar workshop and bringing in the PACE providers for the, for the PACE financing, and then also window, roof, and solar providers, and then also the co-op, explaining that and how, I think, when's the next one, the next round? They have this round coming, and then they're going to start the new,
I think they're figuring like 6 months or a year
Right.
later, they'll
Right.
probably have another go-around.
Yeah, and so, like people like me with my house, I had to replace windows first, and that's what I'm doing. So I went through the PACE program, which is actually working out for me financially, and it's been very easy thus far. So, so I'll be able to talk about that personal experience at the meeting, and so
You got to do solar then?
after I get my windows done.
Yeah, it's more cost effective for homeowners too,
Mhm.
because, the city doesn't get to 30%.
Well, once you get the reduction on your insurance for the windows, it literally washed out in the cost of my payments. Yeah. So, so after you get that done, and, the great thing about PACE is it's so flexible and there's no closing costs, so you can make your payment, pay back 3 years, 2 years, whatever you want, so it's very flexible and, very easy to do. So, but going back to this plan, I just wanted to comment before you all hopefully make a motion and vote, that very few times have I given a project to college-level interns and got a product this well done. So I just wanted to comment, both of you, you did a very, very good job on this.
Thank you.
Very well written, very thoughtful recommendations. Usually I have to have a lot of hand-holding in something like this, and there was very little. You guys did a really good job.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
awesome.
I just want to say too, one day, I don't know if you agree with this, but one day when I picture this plan being finished, it'll be an online version, obviously, and there'll be a QR code that you can link from a smartphone to get it to pop up on your phone. But the plan is laced with hyperlinks, so that in the online version, it will take you, say if it references something about climate change, it takes you directly to the NASA website that talks about that, or it also, I believe, it also links you directly to PACE's home website. So the plan is laced with this. So in an online version, people can just have a free-for-all for information. So the plan also serves as a database for the public to get reliable scientific information. So there's that too.
Because it does seem like this is peanut butter and jelly with the website. And we registered a domain name for our board website and then never really did anything with it because we didn't know what to do with it yet. And it seems like now we got a pretty
There you
clear
go.
idea.
It says it on the front cover too, or on the back cover or something.
Back cover does.
There you go, exactly. So you should put something in, it's already there. And what's, like you mentioned, it's not really the city itself needs, well, nobody has to do anything. These are recommendations.
Right.
And most of them are for businesses and residents. So getting this information in front of them seems to be the best thing we can do as a board
Yeah.
to make that change, right? Is
Mhm.
to publicize this.
Yeah, and it won't leave them being like, okay, but how do I do that? Like,
Right,
it's going to take you directly to how to do that.
Right.
hmm Like it even links to Keep of Our Beautiful, so all this stuff.
Good stuff.
So Zach, you'll be involved with creating the final copy of this as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with Courtney. I think this is a really professional-looking resource, and this is something that's designed to be available to everybody in the city. I think this is great. My only comment, I haven't gotten a chance to go through this whole thing, but there were a couple of things that jumped out at me, and one of them in particular, there's a statement here that I think is potentially short-sighted in a way that I think everybody in this room is dedicated to a long-haul fight to figure out what we can do as individuals and what we can do as a community to sustain for the future.
hmm
And when I read the comment about the super bloom and that it was caused by an excess of nitrogen, phosphorus in the water column from fertilizer runoff, if anybody goes through the super bloom report that the St. John's Water District Management put together with the help of the Indian River Lagoon Consortium, had 25 scientists from 11 different institutions, you'll realize pretty quickly that it's not really known what caused that bloom. The bloom started up by the locks, the Port Canaveral, it went through the Barge Canal, and then it went into the Indian River Lagoon, it went through the Haulover Canal, and then into Mosquito Lagoon, and then it proliferated throughout the entire lagoon system in Brevard and part of Volusia. And when you look at that, it's clear that it wasn't just simply runoff from fertilizer. And my only point of bringing that up is not to call you out. My point is, if somebody looks at a document that's so professionally well put together, and they see something like that, they might consider that was the cause, when if you really dig into the resource, you realize there's a lot to be figured out as to what caused that. And the only point of bringing that up is to give an air caution for a young awesome, fantastically put together resource by a young guy like yourself and your counterpart. Dedicate yourselves to being careful not to say something that could prevent others in the community from wanting to get involved, dig around, and try and find an answer. Because to be honest with you, when I went through that report from the consortium, it is so, there are so many unknowns that I feel as though I got to try and do my part to figure things out, you know? And if you just discount it to its fertilizer, it's doing a huge injustice to the whole movement and the cause of improving the health of Lagoon.
Well, I mean, that's the type of comments we're looking for. Thank you for that, because we can go ahead and change that, because like you said, there can't be any cracks in this. And people will try and open those cracks as far as they can. So we need it as robust as we can, and through comment like yours, because all of you guys are very smart people, you will hopefully help us do that. So this thing can be a powerhouse when it's finished.
I agree. Nice work.
Any other questions? Concerns? Cool.
I have a question for you, Courtney. Once this is approved, how will all these other priorities be, I mean, we're going to be working on it, right? Okay. So is there an order that we're going to target things just based on the severity of the?
Yeah, and probably just opportunity, you know, if the opportunity presents itself to deal with it, then we can start on it.
And create like subcommittees like we did with the community garden. Okay.
The assessment report has the high priority near-term indicators, which should be your first go-to stuff to do, because they are based on time. Oh God, they're based on time and like even I think cost. So it should be the assessment report really is a go-to document to get your next challenges faced, I guess. That's a good way to put it. And the document always says, gone through like sustainability board members, city staff, and public works or something to that effect. So it's always those three things that it's the same, just repeated, because it is the truth. It's always who it went through. So.
Just make sure I'm reading it right. So in other words, looking at the assessment report, a good low-hanging fruit to grab would be, for an example, water resource accounting. Right here we see it's got a low cost, but it's got a high priority, right?
Exactly.
That sticks out. That's low-hanging fruit. We can get those knocked off real easy.
It's that easy, just to see it.
Just need a cool visual graph. I'm not that bright.
Yeah.
I need a colorful graph to show me where they are.
I have to give credit where credit's due. That one was the previous intern. She's the one that came up with that appendix, and that she's actually I think she graduated, but yeah, that was Jessica. She did really good work on that assessment report.
So she's already graduated?
I believe she did.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're getting old. It's already been a whole year.
Yeah.
Courtney, do you need a motion or anything to accept as with the whatever suggestions this committee?
Yeah. And,
So moved.
And just final editing and
Yeah.
formatting.
So moved.
Might want a second.
No, you can't second. That's why you're stuck there. That's right. That's right. But there's other people that can.
What are we making a motion for?
To adopt this pending.
Do I need to clarify that motion?
Yeah, it's getting there.
What am I making a motion for? To adopt
No,
the,
okay.
the sustainability plan with edits.
I'll second that.
David Bigliotti,
Yes.
David Floyd,
Yes.
Scott White,
Yes.
John Burgess,
Yes.
Johnny Henning,
Yes.
Josh Potts,
Yes.
motion carried.
Cool. Thank you.
Beautiful. Is there any public comment on that?
Yeah, should have done that before we did it.
It's my first time. I'm still learning. I know they want me to shut up. Okay. No public comment on that one. All righty, up next, staff update on sustainability initiatives.
All right, we're going to have Nick give you an update on the community garden. But before that, we do have a bat house coming in. Are you doing all that for me? Okay, no, I'll just let him talk.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all here. Do I have to announce myself now that I'm an employee? Or do I do that as a resident?
Julie knows who you are now.
I'm Nick Sanzo, Environmental Program Coordinator for the City of Satellite Beach. This is regarding first the recommendation of the action to move forward with the recommendations established at the Community Garden Workshop on February 2nd. The recommendations put in front of you and made available to the public are as follows: community garden plot size, planting bed size and materials costs, cost for soil, irrigation systems, aesthetic options, and the total cost. Community garden plot size, again, everything we did, we communicated with both FIT and anybody that was available that had good standing with projects like this, like University of Florida IFAS Extension, Linda Seals. And what we did was we looked at the locations available, and we settled on DeSoto Park by the racquetball courts. Site location just south of those racquetball courts, looking at roughly 7,650 square feet of available space. We don't plan to utilize all that space immediately. This will go in as a first phase, hopefully to come with more phases to follow after this is proven successful. The design of it will be in the shape of an S. The reason of that is to avoid the shade that exists there because of the oak tree and the surrounding landscape. We want to use that landscape to our advantage. So with that footprint, the planting bed sizes that we decided on are, using the FIT model, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long, and 2 feet tall. This will give everybody, both young and old, the ability to reach across the bed sizes and allow for planting depths that will give you a variety of plants that you can plant in the area. Those beds will cost $110 each. That's pretty comparable with all the different available materials out there. We went over that in great detail at the workshop. Once we get those beds created, we'll have 20 of them. That'll give the public an opportunity to purchase them for a cost. The cubic feet of mushroom compost that we'll be having will be around $1,500, and $2,200 for the actual bed sizes, $1,000 for the irrigation systems. Irrigation will be coupled with both rainwater and with those wonderful rain barrels, so that if we do go through a drought period, we can tap into the system that's already there, but preferably we'll use recaptured rainwater. So aesthetically, we wanted to communicate to the public the need for something aesthetic. They brought forth the idea of a very simple fenced area to kind of create an ownership of the community garden, which we thought was a great idea. So moving forward with that, we decided that a simple fence with posts and rope would be adequate to create that space. Creating a bench where people can sit and enjoy the park area. We looked at where we would put that, and it looks like underneath that oak tree that already exists there would be ideal. And then maybe putting a trellis in front of that rope area to create an entryway where we could do a ribbon cutting ceremony. Something would be aesthetic and enjoyable as well. Those aesthetic options are only $300, bringing the grand total to $5,000. We recommend that the return on investment be the value, the quality of life, and that everything gets reinvested right back into the community garden. That would achieve the green action target that we have. Wait, that's not right. Green achievement target, thank you. The green achievement target that's set forward. The GAT, thank you. So once we get our GAT, we can shoot it off in the direction of the community. Just kidding, that's a really bad pun.
Every government needs an acronym at some point.
So the Green Achievement Target will be something that we can all get behind, with the community garden being the first one that we can achieve very quickly. Hopefully we can bring this to approval on March 1st, pending your approval recommendation today. Then we can present them with a PowerPoint presentation outlining all the things that we've discussed here, so that we can move on it and hopefully get to our slated release date of September 1st. That'll coincide with the proper growing season so that we avoid all the summer problems that community gardens sometimes face. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to deal with that. And any questions?
any thought after the thing on hydroponics tonight about,
So we talked about the different phases that this garden would go through during the workshop. So this would be the first phase. I would love to see a second phase being something like aquaponics or rain barrels, or having it open to the community once it's established to be able to have a little variability as to what their options are, so that they can see the community garden and say, I want to do this in my backyard also. So that they can take it home and they can say, I can build this raised bed, I can do this. Or if I don't have space, I can come out and be part of the community. My goal to sell the 20 beds beforehand, I think is highly achievable. We could probably get that done ahead of time, maybe go towards specific groups and target different groups to get a bigger bang for our buck, so that we can get the ROTC or the Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, or certain restaurants. Papa Gallo's expressed interest in doing their basil and herbs in there, then they can sell them at the restaurant and make some kind of a community impact that way. Again, our price that we're recommending that we rent them for per year is $50. Hearing the FIT price of a little bit more.
Sponsorship was 120.
Renting us 50 a semester.
So we're right on par with what's out there in the world that can, create that unity among community gardens. This recommendation, I hope that you'll take to heart and think about and vote on tonight to approve so that we can move forward to council.
I think we're
Location set. Yeah, it's set.
Mhm.
It's behind the racquetball courts. Yeah, there's plenty of space.
When I hear that, the only thing I think of is a missed opportunity for it to be exposed, more exposure to the community.
Well,
That's the only thing that comes to mind.
That's a really good concern. I think once the DeSoto Park facility gets constructed, and we already see a lot of traffic there. If you've ever seen tennis people in Satellite Beach play tennis, they love their tennis. People travel from all over, even FIT uses that tennis court, I think, from time to time.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so, you'll definitely get that crowd. And you'll probably get a lot of people that just go there. I know when I was a kid, I played soccer.
Football every night.
Football,
Is packed.
baseball.
That park is packed.
We may have too many people visiting it.
Yeah.
Very high exposure. There's a nice parking lot right there as well, so you're not going to, destroy anything, creating more paved surfaces.
And the pond projects
And the retention pond right next to it, if we wanted to do aquaponics. My background in soil water science and a little bit of mangrove biology, I'd love to do that as a stormwater and aquaponics example of how we can tie all these different things together. I think, like I said, many phases, and I think once we get this first phase in, the second phase to come, we'll do another workshop, and then so on down the road, and to the point where we are utilizing our space as efficiently as possible, and hopefully we can, continue to do projects like this in other areas of the city if possible, or just inspire other cities to follow us.
Can we start reserving to rent the space?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We actually already have like half of them technically sold here.
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm going to do, as soon as we get this approved and it moves to council, the first step will be to create a reservation list of everybody that's going to be involved. The sooner we get it approved, the sooner we can create that list.
We have to get comment first.
Public comment.
Oh, public comment.
Oh, let's do, okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll go ahead and leave this open for public comment.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any public comment on the,
Public comment.
I just have one question. Are you going to have any kind of shade screens?
You have to come up to the podium, state your name and where you live.
She's got to have that for the minutes.
The community garden, are you planning to do any kind of shade screen, especially summertime?
Well, the beds are, like I said, roughly small, and if any individual resident wants to make any changes to it, we can talk about it. For right now, no, it wants to be very simple, and we're going to start really simple. Like I said, phase one, very simple. If they want to go and do more to it, again, that's something we can talk about, allowing them to do that when we start creating the language for the contract that they'll sign the agreement to go ahead and rent the space. It's a great concern. That area does receive a little bit of shading because of that oak tree.
Okay.
And we're going to try to plant everything in that S pattern so that it gets enough sun and shade. So that if you wanted to shade your plot, you could plant it, you can try to rent that one.
Okay.
But for the most part, no, we want to make it really uniform. if it gets to that point, they can do that. We will have an environmental teaching garden that Balance for Earth got a grant with KDB to create, and that'll be adjacent, where they can do any, seedling propagation there in a shady space, so that when they do plant in the main garden, they can plant big plants. What's your concern with the shade?
Just, the
can
strength
get-
of the sun
yeah.
and burning, getting the plants possibly getting burned in the middle
We're
of
trying to
summer.
utilize the shade that's already there.
Okay.
I didn't see any of that in other community gardens, so honestly, it wasn't a focus.
Right.
But it's something we can look at during this first year, 2 years of the project. And when we create a second set of beds, maybe that's something we can add on if it's necessary.
What we should do is just have the 4x4 posts coming up high.
And then they can create a shade above.
And then you can use them for multiple things. You can use them for trellising, peas and things like that. Or if you wanted to put a shade cloth over it, you could do that.
Okay, so we have that option. I think that's a really great idea.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any more public comment on that? It looks like only somebody who wants to be...
I would like to make a motion to start the community garden September 1st, or as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Set the budget at $5,000 or recommend, there you go. Read
Set
that.
the recommendation at 5.
Right here.
Let's see. We'd like to set and approve the budget at $5,000 for construction for the community garden, setting the participation at $50 per bed, assigning the management and community garden to the sustainability board.
Do we have a second on that?
I second.
I'll second.
John Kerrigan,
Yes.
David Floyd,
Yes.
Matt White,
Yes.
Chad Hennings,
Yes.
David Weegley-Oddie,
Yes.
Josh Powell,
Yes.
motion carries.
You can stay right there, there's a microphone right there.
Very nice. Okay, so concerning the bat houses, tomorrow, if the weather cooperates, we will be visiting a location on Elwood where we'll be constructing a bat house. The idea behind the bat houses, again, is to curb the mosquito population naturally using the most, responsible, sustainable form of control for insects, mosquitoes specifically, in our community, becoming a leader for other communities to see what's possible. There are already bat houses created by this same individual. She has a good reputation. I believe we have one on Sampson's Island, and I've installed one previously at other locations. And the idea behind them is to create habitat for bats where there is none due to urbanization, because bats are a natural part of the community and have been so since the last sea level rise changed thousands of years ago. The idea behind it is that these bats are going to, help us curb the use of insecticides.
Is that at the park?
It'll be at Elwood. It's the park.
The park on Elwood?
At what time?
We'll be there at 10 o'clock. Please join us if you'd like to.
Well, I think after we get it installed, what we'd like to do is schedule kind of like a little ribbon cutting, particularly because most of the bat house initiative was really spurred by Kirsten Paulson, who came in my office and asked for bat houses.
Is this the same woman that came in?
With four bats.
The little girl that, Mr. Paulson's daughter.
Oh, okay.
And she came in my office and said we needed to put in bat houses. So we thought it would be great if we could do a ribbon cutting and ask her to cut the ribbons, since she was really the impetus of all of our bat house discussions here.
Is tomorrow, the ribbon cutting?
No, I don't think we could do it tomorrow. We'll construct it tomorrow, so
If
then
the
we'll
weather
schedule a date for the ribbon cutting.
It'd be great to have video.
Yeah, I know. I'd
Mhm.
need to be in the loop with the ribbon cutting day of that, for sure.
Yeah.
How many bats does a bat house house?
Hundreds.
Really? The bats are very small and make the
They're
crowd together
tiny.
really tightly inside the bat house. The bat house itself is roughly
It's about
2 feet by 4 feet, about 6 inches wide, 7 inches wide. You try to mimic that type of habitat that they would find in salt palm meadow trees that, when are improperly trimmed, take away that habitat. The idea behind it is to create it tall enough so they can get to it, and that, from that vantage point, they can go ahead and hunt in the twilight.
Is the one on Sampson Island inhabited with bats?
I'm going to check on that this weekend.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can report to you this weekend.
Saturday.
Yes,
Open
the
house.
open house
Open
is
house
this
is
weekend,
Saturday.
so.
Oh, cool.
I've been out there a long time.
Time to go. It's free. Got to make reservations.
It's always free if you have a boat.
Yeah.
Or you can swim across from,
Which member has a canal and boat?
Slow. Yeah, you can kayak.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
yeah. Starting at 7.
Is that really how it
You're going to be there at 8, but we're kayaking our kayaks over there,
Oh, okay.
so we can do like kayak presentations. And
Where is it on Sampson?
Right in Maine, boat dock on the Grand Canal.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the next agenda item. That brings us to project updates from board members. Start at one end and go down the line.
Got some film projects I'm going to update the next meeting now. I'm going to have a presentation and everything, so let's get myself this time, but I'll be back.
I don't have anything new, but I'm still working on the Green Circle Salon stuff.
I'll list something for next meeting as well. Pass on up. You just got it.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you.
I was just working on the community garden. Me too. This is
Heard enough about that.
And we'll be presenting the dark skies item on the next meeting as well.
Okay.
So we met on that, and we think that the city's already doing many of those things, and that ordinance, we're going to be, working in, there's a sample ordinance on the Dark Skies website. Dark Skies is like it's a light pollution issue.
Yeah.
I guess it's the best way you can say it. So we'll present it at the next meeting, but we want to make sure that you are aware that, we're, as a city, we're already doing most of it, but we can increase our, participation in that and maybe get recognition from a program that Jazzy brought to us, so.
Except for you said
So we-
Publix won't turn off their lights, right?
The lights don't have to be turned off.
Yeah, they don't have to be
You
turned
just,
off.
it's, you have to have the right,
Oh, I know
you
that,
can't
but what
be
I was
too
saying
near.
is, but wasn't Publix against it because they were saying like safety, they want their bright lights or something?
No, there are some shopping areas, like Walmart and Publix like that, that don't want to turn their lights off, but most cities now
I
require
remember another
their
conversation though
candle.
about them not wanting to go with like dimmer lights because of them thinking it was gonna.
Yeah, most of shopping plazas don't want to turn them off or go to dimmer lights, but they will go to the type of light that only goes down, so it
Okay.
doesn't
Yeah.
have a candle that goes all over the place. Yeah. And that's usually because we require it.
And that doesn't affect safety
Right.
at all.
Okay, so we have a chance of actually getting that plaza, the Publix plaza to,
It's already that way.
oh, it is
Yeah,
already that way?
we require those lights already.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there's some parts of that ordinance, though, that we don't do. So, they have a model ordinance, and so we'll present that to you at the next meeting.
Okay, awesome.
So it kind of rolls into the next item on the agenda, or agenda items for next meeting.
Oh, sorry, and if Nick could update as well, the KBB, I don't know if everyone up here knows about that or not. If you want to just let everyone know, because that was accepted now.
Okay, yeah, so, good news. Dylan Hanson in Balance for Earth.
As well as you.
You need to sign this, actually. This is the correspondence between KBB and Balance for Earth regarding the environmental teaching garden or shade house. Now, I mentioned it's going to be adjacent to the community garden as a location that residents can utilize to propagate their plants. Also, for the city to utilize to curb its native plant budget. The city currently spends money on native plants. If we could then produce our own native plants, we could curb that very portion of our budget. The KBB grant was in partnership with Lowe's, who I talked to yesterday, day before, and they're going to provide half the cost of materials to construct a 25 by 25 foot shade house
based off of the shade house that's at the inlet. Sebastian Inlet has a shade house, and I based off of that design. Once it's constructed, it'll be vegetated with native plants surrounding the shade house. All native plants will be something that we can propagate from, hopefully by seed or by cutting, and maybe be a place where we can have community events or different types of workshops where the community can be involved. And it'll give us a place to stage a lot of the community gardening. Once it's constructed, it'll be an example of how we can do native planting, and hopefully we can use some of those native plants at other locations around the city.
Great idea.
So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. I got a plant list, I got all kinds of goodies about that in this one because I took it to Lowe's yesterday. But
What type of roof is it going to have?
it's going to be all shade cloth. It'll be just shade cloth so that the rain will go right through it, so it'll water anything we have inside. But it will have rain barrels outside. It'll collect rainwater so that we can utilize that in the gardens. It'll be 4 rain barrels.
How can you collect rainwater?
Just open top.
Uh,
Real easy. And if you wanted to,
You won't get that much if you do.
we won't get that much, but if we tapped it into city water.
Today you would have.
Yeah. They would fill it up. They would fill it up. That's just the monster of the beast. But if you wanted to fill the city water, you could close it, let the chlorine go off, and then have storage that way as well during a drought. But again, that's just for those native plants on the outside. It's not meant to do a lot of watering. It's a very small footprint. It'll hopefully be something that will, again, inspire the residents to do more native planting. By having a high diversity, I think I had somewhere around 10 to 15 different plants.
And just a dirt floor?
Yeah, just a dirt floor, real simple. It'll be such tight vegetation that it'll maybe, if we had the budget for it, local coquina rock. Could look nice that way, and it'll tie into City Hall.
The city hall is looking awesome.
Yeah,
It's
Thank you all
really
for
good.
your support on that, too.
That was awesome, Nick. It's really, really
Really
good.
We
nice.
need to take some drone shots and some photos.
It was looking good.
Are they
After
getting,
all this rain.
the plants getting established now?
Oh, yeah. Green sunflowers looking pretty good. A couple of things.
Yeah, there was like 2 that we had to
Yeah.
take out, but, yeah,
That'll happen.
that happens. I mean, we planted so many plants, that's, 2 or 3 that we had to get rid of was it's like really good.
So yeah, it's the update from about Hurricane, we approved the grant, and we have until the 28th to sign and agree to them giving us money for something we want to do.
Awesome. Does the city have a grant writer anymore?
Each department basically writes their own.
Yeah.
So,
Because that was paying off for us quite well, wasn't it, in the past?
Yep.
Hopefully the next grant rewriting will involve the new property by the library, all those woods, and to the library.
Yeah, there's tons of grants available, if somebody wants to take the initiative to.
Yeah, there's some coming down from the NEP, which would be good, for the area next to the library. So we keep an eye on all that. The harder ones that are to write is like the 319 and the stormwater grants, and that we usually give that to our engineer to do. So.
We went after the Lowe's grant, but we never got that one for some reason when we were doing this.
It's very competitive, because so many people, especially if you're not a public entity, there's not a lot of grants out there for you, except for the Lowe's grant.
They'll give you like small,
Mhm.
like a couple $100 worth of
Yeah,
stuff, but if
exactly.
you want like the big Lowe's grant where
Mhm.
it's hard to get, so. But there's so many other organizations out there. There's probably the Native Plant Society, I know, the Palm Society, all these different plant growing clubs, a lot of them will have grants.
If you hear of it, please let me know. The next one I'll look into is Ducks Unlimited, trying to form a partnership with them. They run a lot of projects.
Central Florida Palm and Cycad Society, Brevard Tropical Fruit Club.
That can be a fun one.
Brevard Tropical Fruit Club might donate.
We're having a big sale coming up in
Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
Once a year, I'm telling you what, you better go there and get some trees.
We
I'm
should
telling
try to
you.
get some
The
for
shade house will already be constructed by then.
It's May 14th, I think. It's awesome.
Add a few things
You
around
gotta
it.
go there.
If
You
we
gotta
have,
just-
if we have the
you gotta
budget
get there
approved by
early,
then,
or you'll miss out.
we should go and get
I like that
We
one.
should make a trip over
at
there.
least 1 or 2 trees.
And I know some residents might be interested in some fruit trees as well.
I think you may be right.
Yeah, so to get the discount for the Brevard Tropical Fruit Club, you have to be a member in advance, which only costs
If you
like...
want to go there Friday.
Yeah. and
But
that's
if
what
you want to go there Saturday, you can go there Saturday, you don't have to be a member. And you can get other stuff like azomite, which you can never get. They have that there.
Get it off Amazon.
Yeah, you know how much it costs? I know, I did that, but it's $50 a bag, which is the same price. But it's $50 to ship it to you. It's a 50
Not if you're an
bag.
Amazon Prime member.
It's $100 a year to
Right.
have it.
Oh, it's worth it. 2 days.
I know.
There is a Melbourne Botanical Fest coming up too, isn't there?
Yes.
March, what is that? I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Which I think Melbourne, the city of Melbourne and Palm Bay, that this past weekend with the, with that seminar, the landscaping seminar, was very, very well done. And there was a lot of people there. I was I didn't realize that Melbourne and Palm Bay and the other cities were doing so much, on these issues. So, when they have events like that, I'm hoping that we can help them and, promote them and go and visit and make sure that we support them. But they do have, Melbourne has a Botanical Fest, I'm trying to find the date real quick, coming up.
Is that the one that used to be at FIT?
I know this one. Ours was canceled.
It's Saturday, March 4th, and it's in downtown Melbourne. Starts at 8 in the morning,
Not the year, I've never not missed it.
8 to 4.
Yeah, never, not missed it.
Yeah, so it's basically like a big, plant sale.
It's March
Yeah.
4th.
March 4th. Right, so we're going to have one on the, the 18th.
So I can go to it from what ours is there, and support them at the
Right.
same time.
So, it'd be nice to do that on our Facebook page and make sure that people know that cities are really leading the way, especially in Brevard County, so. And the event Saturday, even the grab bag, like the little gift bags they give you, were completely useful. Instead of the little non-usable stuff you get, like little squeegee balls and stuff, it was like a sprayer, gloves, very usable items that it was really well done. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you did win my.
I did? Oh, it's probably in your yard. But they, when we get events from them like that, we'll let you know so we can start supporting, the countywide initiatives and start partnering with each other.
And we got that from the bag program, and we donated, I bought it, $1 bag, and one of each bag,
Huh?
to give it away. I didn't even tell you about that.
No, that's.
Maple Street was there, yeah. I bought lots of plants.
Well, that brings me back to the agenda items for next meeting, unless there's public comment in between. Nope. Okay, so for our agenda next meeting, if I'm understanding, Dylan wanted to present a video. I wanted to make an update on the plastic program / bag program. And there was something, well, is there anything else we need to add to the agenda right now? that we haven't
Dark
taken?
skies.
I'm sorry, dark skies, that is it,
Yeah.
dark skies.
Yeah.
I skipped over Jazzy, I'm sorry. Dark skies.
Do we have, are you all wanting to present at that meeting? Are you all wanting to present the carbon tax to the board at that meeting?
Yes, I called Jill. and
Okay, so we'll put that,
I was told that would be on the agenda. She was inclined about it.
okay.
All right, then I think
That's a full agenda already. so.
Great, and then, if there's no more public comment, I think that brings us to adoption of the minutes from last meeting.
So moved.
A second.
Did he say somebody?
David Floyd,
Yes.
Val Sweeney,
Yes.
Matt White,
Yeah.
David Bigliotti,
Yes.
John Curtis.
Yes.
Josh Clark,
Yes.
motion carried.
Meeting adjourned.